Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Got home from Walker, Minnesota from the Leech Lake Bassmaster Open tournament. Was the fourth stop of the season. If you've been following along with the channel, we had a delay or a postponement of day one. And instead of it being a 3-day event with top 10 on Saturday, we condensed it down, or Bassmaster condensed it down to 2 days full field. And it was an interesting event. Last year was dominated by smallmouth. Easton Fothergill won with like almost 50 pounds for 2 days. This year, different event. It was a mixed bag. Some guys caught them largemouth, some guys caught them smallmouth. But congratulations to Laker Howell. He won the event, all largemouth, and he fished a frog, and he had like 40 pounds over 2 days to win the Bassmaster Open. He's going to the Bassmaster Classic, so congrats to him on that. My event started out pretty rocky. On day one, I was in 108th place, not because I didn't catch any fish, because I had like 14 pounds for 5 fish, but I lost 4 good ones throughout the day, and it really was super frustrating. Right out of the gates, I lost one on a frog, then I lost 2 flipping, not like really quickly or close to each other, but throughout the day I would lose key fish. But the frog fish looked like about a 3-pounder, and then I had one on a jig that I set the hook and was cranking, and I could see her in that really clear water, about a 3.5 poundish size fish. That one came off. Then I also had another one flipping that I set the hook on and got like a crank and on it, and I could see it flashing underneath the water in that deeper water. It came off, and at the end of the day, I had another frogfish come off that looked like it was about a 3-pounder. So day one, I'm in 108th place with 14 pounds, and I think after the end of day one, it was just over 16 pounds for 45th, which is the last check that Bassmaster will pay out in an open event. But what was also happening was I was trying to make the Bassmaster Open EQ postseason events. 3 events. They're going to have one on Champlain, one on Wheeler, and one on Okeechobee. And the top 10 out of those postseason events, those will go on to the Elite Series. And I was gunning for that. You know, to start out the season, I was in 177th. I moved from 177th to 100th in the second event. And then from the second event to the third event, I moved all the way up to 76 going into the Walker, Minnesota Leech Lake event. And really, I felt like I needed a top 25, but as it turns out, I really only needed a top 30. So going into day two, I felt like I had a good game plan. I could see that the quality was there. I feel like I could have had close to 17 pounds on day one. So it was really kind of a bummer because, I mean, just by looking at what I weighed, 14 pounds, and I had like 2 in the 2-pound range, I know that I had at least 2 fish that I could have culled out of my limit on day one, maybe even 3, based on the size of the fish that I saw come off. So I was like, okay, you're around the right kind of quality. All you really need to do is go out there and execute, catch those fish that bite, and you'll have a great chance at moving up the standings, possibly getting a check, and if things really go well, maybe make the Bassmaster Open EQ series. I was really doing a 2-pronged approach, and I'll do a kind of a part 2 to this Bassmaster Open Walker, Minnesota Leech Lake event, where I kind of go over all the gear and the baits that I used and etc. But I wanted to do kind of a recap, get something out to you guys real quick. I got some good footage that I took on my GoPro. I'm going to blend that together and kind of narrate what the event was like, kind of give you a blow-by-blow in that sense as well. Any rate, day two, much better day. I went flipping and really just didn't catch much. I think I maybe caught 1 or 2, just wasn't getting much done. Just the quality wasn't the same. So I flopped it and went frogging. On day one, I went frogging, then I followed up with flipping and then frogging again. Day two, I went flipping and then frogging. And when I got to the frogging water, it was going on pretty good. I caught a bunch of fish. I don't even really know how many I caught on a copper red baits wave frog in the killer gill. And there's some drama that goes around that bait that I'll tell you about in the part 2 of this video. But as for this part 1, caught my fish on that copper red baits, killer gill frog color in the wave frog, which the wave frog is a pointed snout. This is actually one of the ones from the event. Beat up pike were crushing that thing. The point is, I was catching fish on a frog, fishing it around that wild rice that is so prevalent on the lake and is such a, you know, a pattern that holds over year, and it's something that the fish really get into. And I guess it's just a great habitat. Kind of reminds me of hay grass that you have on Toledo Bend and Rayburn and so forth. So I was doing a 2-pronged approach, the flip, the frog, and I had a little bit of swim jig mixed in there on day 1, day 2. I threw it some. I caught a couple small ones. I think those are the first 2 fish of the day were on swim jig, but really they didn't play. They were really kind of a moot point in the scheme of the event. Started catching them on the frog, and I realized right away, this is what I'm going to stick around on do. And I had one key stretch, and I was like, man, if I could just find another stretch similar to this. They weren't on everything. It had to have, you know, a couple of the right ingredients. And in that part 2, I'll kind of show you some of that as I kind of actually show some fishing footage throughout the day. But so there was this wild rice pattern that these fish were on, and I really had to present the bait in a specific way. But I was fishing through that area, and I had a good bag. I don't know, I had a couple, I think 3 3-pounders, 2 or 3 3-pounders. And my weight, I was calling, and I thought, man, I just need one more key stretch. And I looked around, and I said, that really sets up, looked at my graph, it looks like it sets up a lot similar, really similar to what I'm currently on. Ran over there, and it was bam. I mean, it was happening right when I got there. And so it was really cool to take what I learned from this little key stretch of wild rice and go over there and get on it. And again, the killer gill in the wave frog by Copper Red Baits. Man, that frog is the juice. Really like that bait. And I feel like it really does imitate a couple of different things. I'll go into that more in part 2, but caught him on the frog, continue to cull up. I only lost one key fish that may have made a difference on day 1. I think it was actually the first frogfish bite of the day, but after that, I was real purposeful about the way I presented my bait, the rod positioning, being completely, you know, focused on what was going on, wait until those fish had the bait, cracking them, getting them out of that wild rice, or negotiating those round reeds and different things like that that were in the water that could prevent me from getting those fish to the boat. One of them actually swam right into some round reeds, and it was hung up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it cannot come off. And all of a sudden that round reed broke, and I was able to boat flip that fish. I want to say it was like a 3.5-pounder. I think I might have had a 4-pounder. I didn't really weigh those fish, but the weather was beautiful up there, and in Northeast Texas, going to be in the high 90s again, or at least in the 90s today. At any rate, I was able to cull up, weigh 17.7 on day 2, catapult from 108th all the way up to 39th. And again, only missed making the Bassmaster Open EQ postseason events by 9 points. So if it would have finished 30th, if I would have caught him on day 1, obviously everything's a coulda, woulda, shoulda in this game, but if I would have caught him on day 1, there's no doubt I would have made the postseason EQ events. But it didn't work out like that, but I'm glad to have a redemption day, catch them really well, and move up the standings, get paid. They pay the top 45 in the Opens, finishing 39th. And just a great way to kind of end the season on a high note, specifically after day 1. Thankfully, the Lord blessed me with the right bites again on day 2, and on that day I was able to boat all those fish. Really just was a blessing. So that's really a recap of the Bassmaster Open out of Walker, Minnesota on Leech Lake. Really love that lake. That whole area up there in Minnesota is just beautiful, and all the other little lakes around there. At any rate, it was a fun time. Blessed to have that strong event to end the season. I want to thank you all for watching these videos, for commenting. If you get anything out of them, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. Be sure to go over to the description section. There you'll have links to my merch, Team Niggemeyer Fishing, as well as my website, my Facebook, Instagram, and a discount code for Amphibia eye gear. That's floating sunglasses, patented air cell technology. And some of the lenses are ANSI rated, so they're safety rated glasses. So if something hits you in the lens, they won't damage your eyes. They won't shatter and damage your eyes. So there's a discount code for Amphibia eye gear. Until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.